Hello, you're listening to a podcast. This is Butterball. 3 family members. We're talking ball. We're having a ball. Hey, everybody. My name's Scott.
Hey, y'all. I'm Nicole. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Butterball Podcast, posting clips and other things on there. So follow us on Instagram at Butterball Podcast.
And I'm Drew. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at Butterball Podcast or listen to us on Spotify. Just search Butterball.
This week, we're going to start off talking about one of the most fun things I think to watch on TV. Every year at this time, it happens. It just started today, and that's the Little League World Series. Are you guys going to be watching any of it?
I have been.
Have you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'll watch more as it picks up.
It's really fun. I mean, you know, it's interesting because it's 11 and 12-year-old kids, obviously playing baseball, and they're so good by the time they get to Williamsport for the Little League World Series. You're watching kids that this field is just too small for them, you know? I mean, it's so amazing. The Little League field, do you guys know what the dimensions are of a Little League field compared to the big leaguers?
I mean, it depends on the field. I don't know what it is at Williamsport. It's probably like 100 and something down the lines and like 200 to center.
No, they made the fences 225 all the way around. They used to be 200 years ago, but they moved it back to 225. But man, for some of those bigger kids, that's just a little pop fly for them. I mean, they can blast it out of there. The base paths are 60 feet as opposed to 90.
Mm-hmm. They're
pitching from 46 feet away as opposed to 60 feet, 6 inches. That's really a big, big thing because, you know, when you're that close, and some of those pitchers, they're like 5'10", 150 pounds, 60 pounds at 12 years old, you know, and they can rip it, you know. If they're throwing 70 miles an hour, you know what that is in the equivalent of from 60 feet, 6 inches?
That's like 100, isn't it?
It's like 92 to 94.
Okay.
Yeah. So these kids, you know, at 12 years old, you know, you say, oh, they're seeing, you know, 70 mile an hour pitches. Well, they're from 46 feet though. And so they're like 92 to 94. And that the interesting thing about like a pitch from 60 feet, 6 inches, it'll die in speed as it's getting closer to the plate. These ones, I'm not sure they die that much because they're from 46 feet. You know, they're just coming in and, you know, right on them. It's pretty interesting. I can't believe they can throw breaking balls from that short of a distance, but they do, and they're impressive.
Yeah, some of them are pretty good.
They're really good. Yeah, it's crazy. I was watching one of the regional tournaments. I was watching the end of it last week. There was a kid that could throw his curveball more for a strike than he could his fastball, so he was throwing like 75% curveballs. It was wild. You know, I can remember years ago too, they'd be like, oh, you can't throw a curveball at 12. It'll ruin their arm. You know, this kid, that's all he had, man. He was just, he was throwing all kinds of junk. It was wild. Yeah. So, I mean, and even like if a kid's throwing 60 to 65, that'll look like anywhere from 80 to 85 from, you know, if you were playing from 60 feet 6. So, you know, they're going to see anywhere from the equivalent of 80 mile an hours to 90 plus in this Little League World Series, which is crazy. The other different thing about Little League baseball then is since it's 60 feet base paths, obviously it's going to be harder to steal. And to make it even more tough, the Little League rules state that the base runner has to stay on the base until the ball crosses home plate. So you really don't see kids stealing bases. You see them go on past balls, and occasionally they'll steal a base if there's like first and third situation, there's 2 outs, and they're like, okay, just go as they throw it back to the pitcher. And if you get in a rundown, you get in a rundown. But a lot of times the team won't take that bait, you know, they'll just let them go.
Mm-hmm.
So this is almost like watching MLB ball where they're just hitting bombs and you got these pitchers that are striking everybody out and stuff. And it's fun to watch though, because I think everybody gets into it because they're 12-year-old kids. They're emotional. all the coaches, at least a lot of the good ones that you see as they mic them up, they're always trying to calm them down and take control, help them control their emotions and stuff, because kids get upset. They get upset easy. They want to succeed and everything like that. So it's I don't know. It's really, really, it's great.
Yeah, I was watching one game and I was laughing about it with one of my coworkers because this pitcher, he looked like Mike from Stranger Things as like a little kid. And he was actually he was doing pretty well, but he was struggling to throw strikes. And every time he would throw one and it was a ball or the ump wouldn't give him a call, you just see him turn around and every time. And I was like, you think he's a little upset with this umpire? I can't tell.
Yeah. A lot of times they don't, their emotions, they're not hidden much, and yeah. So the coaches do have a tendency to call a lot of timeouts. I mean, I don't know how many they're allowed, but I think many of them they'll use their allotment, man, because they're trying to just let them stay calm, because the kids are unbelievably talented. There's a lot of good talent out there. They can play, they just got to relax, but man, the pressure they must feel playing on ESPN and in front of, the crowds are playing in front of and stuff. It's, their first exposure to, wow, there's a lot of people that are interested in this, It's pretty cool. So the teams this year, there's 20 teams in Williamsport. They have 10 U.S. teams and 10 international teams. They play an international bracket and a U.S. bracket, and then the U.S. champ will play the international champ for the overall champ. So I kind of have a little bit of a belief that if the international teams had to play mixed in with all the U.S. teams, less times the international champ would win, because in the history of the Little League World Series, the first tournament was held in 1947. It's been going on a long time. I think the first international teams were introduced in like the late 50s or something like that. But since they've done this format where they have the U.S. and the international bracket, the U.S. has won the overall title 40 times, and the international teams have won 37. Of those 37 international, who do you think has the most?
Isn't it like Chinese Taipei or something?
It is.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid growing up, that was called Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they've won 17 times.
Well, that's more than I thought.
Yeah, so they're a steady force. Steady force.
What was the international team that had that 14-year-old playing for them that one time?
That wasn't an international team. That was a team from New York.
Oh, that's right. It was New York.
Yeah. I think he was a Dominican kid, but he was playing for New York. Yeah.
Yeah, they like moved him to New York and he didn't have a birth certificate, so they gave him one.
Gave him one, well, doctored his and he was striking everybody out, and they were going, "Whoa, look at this kid." And then they discover he's 14, throwing against 11 and 12-year-olds. Okay, that'll probably help him a little bit.
I need to watch that one again. That one's fun.
Yeah. Here's an interesting thing, because I was just watching, like right before the tournament started today, I was watching a little thing on, Carl Ravitch was talking about some of the coolest moments that he's watched over the years, as he's one of the commentators for ESPN that does it. And one of the kids he talked about was a pitcher for South Dakota that pitched 5 years ago, 2021, and he was striking everybody out. He threw a no-hitter, and he was amazingly good. Lefty. I think he was a lefty. And so I thought, well, 2021, so he's got to be getting close to the end of his high school career now. So I just did a search on, baseball recruits or whatever to see where is he at today, just to get an idea of, he was dominant as a 12-year-old. How's it going for him in high school? And the first thing that struck me was his size. He looked like a pretty, probably. Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. He looked like a pretty big little leaguer at the time, kind of taller and lanky. And now he's 5'8", 150.
I feel like most people that go through puberty early obviously they don't keep growing later on. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like a lot of the kids who are powerhouses when they're younger like that, really young like that, like 10, 11, 12, a lot of things change by the time they turn 14 and 15 and they're
Yeah.
suddenly not the biggest person on the field.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong,
like,
this kid's a really good baseball player right now too. I think he's a one of the better recruits out of South Dakota and stuff, but he doesn't have the stuff that might get him to the highest levels of Division I, just because the size and everything else.
mhm. It's kind of like that. Have you seen that girl on the Alabama team?
Mm-mm.
You haven't seen that? Alabama's best player is a girl, and like she's a lot bigger than all of the
Oh,
boys on her team.
oh yeah, I just saw him playing, and yeah, she was like the last batter in one of the games they were playing. And man, when I saw her take a cut, I was like, wow, she's
Mhm.
she's got the mechanics. She
She
you
also
could tell she
struck
can rip
out
it.
like 12 kids. I don't know if she gave up any runs, but she's an unreal pitcher too.
Yeah, yeah, yep. So, you'll see stuff like that, and that kind of takes me back to when you played the youth baseball, Drew. I was always trying to calm down all the parents and be like, "Hey, man, these kids are 12. Relax. You don't have to worry about their high school careers yet. Let's just like teach them how to play the game, have some fun. And they're all like, oh, but if they don't do this now, they're not going to be ready for high school. And people get so far ahead of themselves, when they're doing this, that they just don't take the time to enjoy the the process. That because is the amount of fun these kids must be having has to just be off the charts, doing this. And you just want them
Mhm.
to enjoy that. So the teams you got in there's 10 regions in the US, and you got Great Lakes. There's a team from Hamilton, Ohio. The Metro team, that's kind of the cities on the east. There's one from Bayonne, New Jersey. I think they're playing right now. Mid-Atlantic is Westchester, PA. The Midwest team, they're from Iowa
Mhm. I
this
saw
year.
them play. They're pretty good.
Yeah, Davenport, Iowa. Iowa, for that region, the Midwest region, Iowa's kind of ruled that region, which I was kind of surprised at. But so this is like the 16th time Iowa has made a team from Iowa has made the Little League World Series. So that was cool to see. And they've got a stud pitcher, real good kid. And they interviewed him after they won the regional championship. He was pretty good interview at 12 years old. I think they said he plays on like one of the 12U US teams or something. So he's
I
a
would be
player.
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. There's a team from Henderson, Nevada in the Mountain Division. Could be, who knows? Could be Bryce Harper's old Little League, bringing a team back.
That team had Bryce Harper, Chris Bryant, and Joey Gallo all on the same team. Can you imagine
that
playing
wild?
that freaking team?
I know. I know. That's crazy. And then New England, Bridgewater, Mass. Northwest teams from Tacoma, Washington. Southeast is from Phoenix City, Alabama. West from Bonita, California. And from the Southwest, Boerne, Texas is in there. There was some controversy.
Where is that? I don't even know where that is.
Boerne?
Yeah.
It's down by San Antonio.
Okay. Yeah, central, south central. And it's spelled very funny, so I'm surprised that Dad pronounced it correctly.
Yeah, it looks like Burn
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah, but it's Boerne.
Mhm.
Yeah. I looked it up. I was like,
you did?
I'm
I
not
could
going to
have
get
corrected
tricked.
you there.
Yeah.
I knew that one because I'm closer to the area now that I'm in Austin. So I was getting ready to correct you, but you said it correctly. So
we were just talking last week about all the Oklahoma towns. You know, the thing they had with the Oklahoma football team, and they were having them pronounce all the Oklahoma towns, and they were doing it incorrectly. So when I saw this, I'm like, I bet there's a different pronunciation for this town. I'm going to look it up.
I've seen the Texas team do it as well because there's also like Green, which is also spelled similarly funny. Looks like Groon. And there's a few Texas towns that are funny. I saw it was the Dallas Stars actually that posted the video, and for Waxahachie, one of the players was like Waxahachie. It was cute.
Yeah.
I need to find that one. That sounds funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so this year, the International teams, you got South Korea, Sydney, Australia, Vancouver, Canada. Dominican Republic is in for the Caribbean. You got Curacao has a team from Willemstad. Czechia from Europe and Africa. That's an interesting region, but Czechia is there. Team from Tokyo. They're there almost. There's a team from probably Tokyo almost every year, I'm sure. Nicaragua is in for Latin America. You got a team from Tijuana, Mexico, and then Panama. So we'll see. I'd say, if you're looking for a potential champion out of this, I mean, what would you guess from just hearing where the teams come from?
Either Dominican Republic or Japan, probably. They seem to be winning all the World Baseball Classics lately, too.
Japan always seems to find their way in there. If you look at the U.S. teams, I haven't even seen the team from California play, but California teams from the U.S. have won the most titles. So
yeah,
you never count a California team out, I don't think, And then you see those teams that are from some of those teams from the East Coast too, like the New Jersey and Bridgewater, Mass are playing right now, and they've got some studs. Boy, both their pitchers are throwing close to 70. So, and then one of the team's pitchers is like 5'10". He must look like a monster up there. The other kids, some of those kids are 5 foot, and then he's 5'10" and just throwing.
There was I can't remember what team it was. They probably got eliminated by now, but they had a kid who was 6 foot 185.
Man,
that's insane.
And they were comparing him to MLB players that currently are 6 foot 185.
He's interesting. Even if he never grows, he'll still be huge. So
yeah, he doesn't have to grow. He's already done.
That's great. That is wild, man. If you look at like champions from the U.S., California is the most with 8. There's 4 states that have had 4 champions over the years. Connecticut, Hawaii, New Jersey, and PA.
I remember some of those Hawaii teams. They were really good.
Yeah, they were kind of on a run at the same time. They kind of were there for like a certain number of years. Georgia and New York have both had 3 champions over the years. Michigan and Texas, 2 apiece. Most of the Texas ones, I think, come from South Texas because they don't really play Little League baseball here in the DFW area that I'm aware of, I mean,
not really.
Yeah, you all played AYBA or USSSA. Yeah, you didn't play Little League, so yeah.
I'm kind of thinking, is that how Florida is too? I'm surprised there's not more Florida teams around.
Florida's in there. They do have some Little League teams. They've won 1 title over the years, but yeah, you'd think Florida would be in there more. But they're probably they probably got a lot of kids that don't even play Little League, I mean,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Their parents are probably too concerned about getting them ready with like real base stealing and leading off and stuff like that, What'd you say, Nicole?
How do you feel about people betting on Little League World Series games ethically?
I did see that. I can't believe there's apps that allow that.
Is there? There's apps that are allowed it?
And they have odds. How the hell do they get odds for it?
Yeah.
I don't understand where those come from.
Who are the insiders? They call them the parents? They call.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty wild. How do I feel about it? I think it's wrong for there to be like betting sites to be having stuff on it for sure. But am I surprised? No. It's on TV, people want to bet, and betting is so mainstream these days. But at the same time, there's been stories that I've seen over the years about like youth football, and one from a guy I used to work with when his son was growing up. They were in San Diego and they were in a youth football league in California, and he said there were people betting up in the stands on on players and teams and stuff. Yeah, and you hear about it in Florida.
Yeah, I saw a tweet that made me laugh. And actually sums it up perfectly. It said, if you're betting on the Little League World Series, just call the hotline already. the gambling addiction hotline.
We've said enough about the Little League World Series. Goes till August 30th, so tune in if you want. All right, so let's talk some college football. So we're going to do a pick'em, a college pick'em this year, and we're obviously Nicole, Drew, and I will pick teams every week, but we go out to the ESPN site we join their pick'em. I guess it's just like pick'em. What do you call it?
Game. It's a
game. Whatever. Yeah. And there were 3 different categories we could choose from. We could just do straight up college pick'em, where you're picking the winner and you get 10 points for a win. And the system decides what games you're going to pick on. There is one where you pick against the spreads. And then there was one where you pick the winner and it's a confidence pick. So you rank them 10 to 1, based on the amount of points you want to put on each game. So we chose to do the confidence picks. So there'll be random games and we'll have to go in and pick them. So as an example, the first week, here are the 10 games that we have to pick. I don't know if you guys want to talk about the picks at all, because you don't have to divulge, because I haven't put in mine yet. I don't want to get accused of cheating or anything, or like, oh, well, you picked that as your 10, so I'm going to pick that one as my 1, or whatever, but the first game is Tulane at Duke. The one thing I would suggest for Nicole, you said that, you might use ChatGPT or something to help you out a little bit. You can always look at the spreads. You can look up the spreads on ESPN too and see who's being favored in the game. So like this game, it's at Duke. Duke's a 9.5 point favorite. So you could say, well, geez, 9.5 point favorite at home. That might be a pretty good high confidence pick to pick,
They also, you probably haven't seen it yet because you haven't picked, but they show you the percentages of other users who pick each one.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's always going to be surprises and stuff, but since we don't have to worry about the spread on this, it's also, which games are you going to use to score points with and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how it formulates over time. But Tulane and Duke, it's an ACC team against one of those Group of 5 teams. Tulane, because Tulane's from the American Conference. So this isn't much fun, but it's a game.
Tulane was good last year.
Well.
So
we might debate that.
We're working with preseason games, there was minimal options for ESPN to give us. I mean, what are you going to put out there? Texas State and Texas, Oklahoma and UTEP, come on.
That is true. Yeah, a very good point. You make a great point there. I'm going to give you props for that. The next game is Boston College at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a 7.5 point favorite there. That's that's a good game. You got a Big 12 team and an ACC team squaring off. So, yeah, let's get after it. Mm-hmm. Brendan Sorsby's gone from Cincinnati. So, geez, I don't, what are they going to do? But he's also gone from Texas Tech. Do you remember that when we talked about that?
I wonder if Tech knows that. Yeah. Maybe they're filing another injunction.
Yeah. Another game is...
Wait. Jason Kelsey was just inducted into the Cincinnati Hall of Fame.
Oh, was he? Good for him.
Yeah. Or is announced. I don't know if he had his official induction yet or not, but it was announced. So my question is, at what point then do you induct Travis?
When he retires, like Jason.
You gotta wait till he retires?
Probably.
I guess they don't have to, because
they don't have to. But,
college, but
he's
I guess
when he retires,
it's
going to be after this year. He's not playing after this year. Come on, 14 years in the NFL. He's not going to.
I know. Well, he only came back because last year was kind of lackluster, is my opinion. But
yeah.
But at that point, why not just induct both of them? Come on, we know you're going to induct Travis as well.
Give them each their day. Come on. I know they're joined at the hip and they have a podcast together, but but they both got to have their day.
Maybe. I don't know. I would have just asked them. I don't know if they did or not, but I would have been like, do you want to just do them at the same time?
Could be. Yeah. I'm sure if you asked them, they'd be all for it or whatever, but
exactly.
Who doesn't want to go to the Hall of Fame, anywhere, right?
Well, you might as well make a trip out of it together, film a podcast episode,
Well, I'm sure that they will, both times, for each other.
True.
All right, then we got Baylor at Auburn. Auburn's 7-point favorite there. Wyoming at Colorado State. Now you get into these games that'll get a little bit tougher to pick because Colorado State is the favorite here, 3.5, but they're at home. A lot of times, if I guess people in the betting world say a 3-point favorite at home is almost like being even, right? Because you should be favored by more at home. But, I don't know anything about Colorado State and Wyoming, so you could almost flip a coin on that one.
I don't either. Are they Pac-12 now? They both are, right? Or at least Colorado State is.
Wyoming is not.
I don't know about Wyoming.
I think Wyoming's Mountain West, if I remember right. But, yeah, some of them made the switch to...
Pretty sure Colorado State was one of them.
Pac-12. Okay. Clemson at LSU. Clemson's got a lot to prove this year, but they're going to LSU, and Lane Kiffin, I'm ready. They're going to be good.
Everyone's big on LSU this year, too.
They're 9.5-point favorites. So Dabo's got some work to do there.
Yeah, wait till we get later in the college pick'em, because there will not be 9.5-point favorites as options later on. Every single game's going to be a 2.5-point spread, and it gets really hard.
Probably. Yeah,
it does. I'm the only one out of the three of us who's played a pick'em bracket before in the past, and yeah, it gets pretty difficult a few weeks in.
Yeah. Well, you got the next one, UNLV at Hawaii. I mean, come on. UNLV visiting team favored by 2.5 at Hawaii. So you'd say, well, maybe you should go with UNLV, but you got a bunch of college kids going to Hawaii, man. What if they go out and like party it up and stuff, and
they're from Las Vegas.
They're gonna wait.
That's true.
That's a good point.
That is true. That's a good point. Yeah.
And they're gonna wait till after they play.
They do this all the time.
Oh.
Yeah, I think so, because they're gonna travel the whole team out and like stay a few days afterward. Unless you're like super crazy. I don't know. I mean, I look back to my freshman year in college and I was kind of insane.
I look back to many years in my college.
Many years.
Okay. Western Kentucky at Nevada. Okay. You're going to have to go do some research on that one.
I don't know anything about that one.
Yeah. Western Kentucky's 2.5-point favorites.
Why do you think I asked ChatGPT some questions?
Yeah. UCLA at Cal. UCLA is favored in that one. Normally you'd say, oh, God, this has to...
By 1.5 points or something, though.
Yeah, 1.5. Normally you'd say, oh, UCLA, Big Ten. Got to go with them. But they've been crap. So who knows? I don't know. Louisville and Ole Miss, they're playing at Nashville. Ole Miss is 6.5-point favorites. In that
Both ranked, though, right?
Yeah, Louisville's like 24.
I think they are, yeah. Yeah. And then SMU at Florida State. And SMU's actually favored in this one. And Florida State's got, man, they got to do something, because they were terrible last year. So they got to make a move.
Because SMU's ranked and Florida State's not.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So do you want to talk about who's ranked and who isn't ranked these days?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
Okay, so in the preseason poll that just came out, you've got Ohio State and Oregon, 2 Big Ten teams at the top. Ohio State and Oregon are ranked 1 and 2. Georgia is 3 from the SEC. Notre Dame, that one of the 2 independent teams, is 4, which I hate. Join a conference, Notre Dame. Get with the program. Quit doing that.
Yeah, I always think Notre Dame's overrated.
Well, yeah.
Putting them at 4 is crazy.
I suppose if you look at their schedule, I think they have some good games in there, and they probably have a lot of mid-tier major conference teams in there, but they don't have to go play 3 or 4 or 5 really tough games that the Big Ten and the SEC do. Those guys got to play tough games. I mean, I think if you look at Iowa this year, I think they play Ohio State and Michigan back to back or something, It's crazy what they got to do, but here's Notre Dame. They get to do their schedule, and as long as they finish in the top 12 in the rankings, they get to go to the playoffs. That's crap. We got to change that.
I agree.
Texas at 5. It's the Arch factor, right? Right, Nicole? Everybody's excited.
The Arch factor? Yeah. No, I mean, actually, I saw something funny on Twitter recently that was Texas football posted a video of one of the receivers. I don't even remember who it was, and they were like, "Look at his catching radius," because he like jumps way up in the air and like way, reaches out to like catch this ball behind his head. And so everyone was commenting, and they were like, "I really hope Arch didn't throw that ball," because it was a really bad pass. But also, like, it looks like it probably was tipped. Is the thing, but it was just hilarious because your own Texas football account posted it, and everybody was just like, "Why would you post this? Like, you're making Arch look terrible." So I got a good laugh out of that one. But no, I mean, I'll be curious to see how people talk about Arch this year because I still feel for that guy so much just based off how much crap people gave him in his like first real season as starting quarterback. It just really annoyed me. Such a Texas fan thing to do. But like to talk so much mess on your quarterback when there's a whole system around him and he's one of the most talked about players because of his name. Like he just had so much pressure.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Texas football in general, before NIL, they had the biggest budget in athletics.
And they sucked.
Yes, and they weren't very good. So that was like their own recruiting problems. They're obviously not developing their players or whatever the case may be, but they were spending the most money of anybody in the nation. They just weren't there. Now with NIL, they're still spending a ton of money, and they're spending money on players, and so
the money's working more.
And they're going to attract the talent, or they're going to spend it on the wrong people. I mean, who knows? Right? I mean, so
that's what I've heard.
Yeah. So it all comes down to performance, and yeah, you're always at the University of Texas because there is so much money, and they're going to spend the most money. Anybody that's there is always going to be under like a super scrutiny, which has to be just really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, and then also you come from the Manning family, so like just exacerbate the issue times a billion, because everybody's talking about you. So, I feel for that kid because everyone's, talking about everything he does, and I'm like, he's got one of the toughest jobs just in terms of like public, attention on him.
Yeah. Well, he signed up for it, so,
well,
what the
heck. Of course, and that's what I'm saying. I think he's managing as well as he possibly can. I mean, like, and I had Spencer Rattler as my quarterback, and everyone was walking the season saying, Heisman favorite, and even I was sitting there like, shut up, like, the season hasn't even started, and he's a freshman, like, chill out, and we all know how that turned out, so, like, I just feel for him, but also it reminded me, I was talking to someone in town recently, and they were a Texas fan, and they were, defending their positions and stuff, and I was saying some of these sentiments that you just said, and I was like, well, you've always been spending the most money, and so, because they were trying to say that NIL, oh, you can't say that our success is because of NIL, and I was like, just own it, man, like, just own it, like, who cares, you're succeeding, like, who cares if it's from NIL or not, like, you're ranked 5.
Texas Tech's embracing it. They're admitting it.
Exactly. I was like, just own it. Like, why are you mad about that? And I was like, you've always been spending the most money. Like, and he was trying to use that as like one of his, talking points. And I was like, if you've always been spending the most money, like, I don't understand why suddenly, like, NIL is working. Like, clearly something's different, like, clearly NIL is the reason why. And he's like, well, before we just used to like go for the flashiest players. And I was like, Arch Manning is your quarterback. Like, you still do that. Like, you're not making any important points to change my mind. But yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. It does. It comes down to when you can get anybody because you have the most money and you have the most recruiting cachet, then it comes down to, are you picking the right people and how you coaching them up? Well,
right? And obviously you're going to be better when you have the most money to pay for whoever the heck you want. So like, duh, like Again, just own it. I don't understand.
True. Okay, well, then after 5, you got 6 at Indiana's at 6, and they're probably happy being there, being defending champs. Hey, put us at 6. We can use the underdog theme all year long, and still try to roll. Miami at 7, A&M at 8, Ole Miss at 9, and the Boomer Sooners at 10. You happy with that?
Yeah. Yep, I'm good with that. I'm happy to be in the conversation. 10 is a great place to start and stay. Or surpass.
And so here's a vote on how much people trust Lane Kiffin. LSU's at 11. And they did not finish in the top 25 last year. So,
I think that's a stretch, but whatever.
I don't know. I now that these guys have a bag of money and guys can transfer right away, I have no doubt that he could assemble a team there that could be super competitive right away.
The preseason poll, though, in general, like
I know.
As fun as it is, it's so silly because 4 years ago or something, Texas was ranked like number 1.
Well, they were ranked like 2 last year or something.
Yeah, that was pretty recent. Yeah,
1 or 2. Yeah.
I guess it was probably like 3 years ago.
Well, we'll get to that. I think I got it here somewhere. We'll look it back up here in a second. All right. So then after the top 10 or LSU at 11, you got Texas Tech at 12, Alabama 13, BYU and USC tied at 14. Not sure why they have to do a tie. I mean, it's preseason poll.
Yeah. Nothing's that deep. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that serious, right? You can say one of them's 15. Michigan at 16, Washington 17, Penn State 18. So this is the Matt Campbell effect too. Penn State last year was ranked like 2 right at the beginning of the year. They didn't finish in the top 25. And, so you got new coach. He brings in half the Iowa State team and retains some players from Penn State. And they're saying, hey, this is going to be a top 25 team. I think their schedule's kind of favorable to them this year too, as far as the Big Ten's concerned. So maybe that's part of it. 19 SMU, 20 Tennessee, 21 Utah, 22 Iowa, 23 Houston, then Louisville, then Missouri.
I can't believe Houston's so high.
Well, there must be something going on there in Houston at the Big 12, right?
No,
something in the water, I guess.
Oklahoma State's supposed to be better. What do you think? They're 26 or something?
Oklahoma. So I looked up a article written by, I think it was Phil Steele or somebody else, and he ranked the teams 1 through 138 in Division 1.
Gee. It's all of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is interesting. So because I maintain, when you look at that and you want to talk about college football playoff, then, there's 12 teams that go playoff, right? And there's all this, you got to let in some of the little guys. And my contention is, no, you don't. If they're not the top 12, don't include them. I mean,
we've already been down this rabbit hole.
We have, but when you look at the 138 from his rankings, the SEC, the SEC has 16 members in their conference. How many do you think are in the top 25?
Well, it's like half of it, isn't it? It's like 12.
It's like 10 of them. 10 of their 16 are ranked in the top 25. 10 of them. But they're all going to play each other, so they're going to beat each other. And then they're going to drop them out of the rankings, and it makes zero sense because they have to play each other, beat each other up all year,
And then you have a loss or two.
Yeah, you can. You can have a loss or two. But again, like last year, I'm saying Tulane got into the playoff. Texas should have got in.
At that point, though, why even have a football team at any of these other places if they never have a chance of making the playoffs?
Well, they can go to bowl games and stuff like that, and maybe they should have a tier 1 and a tier 2 playoff. The top 50 go into one, and all the other ones go into another one. I mean, because when you look at the conferences, of the top 25, 10 from the SEC, 8 from the Big Ten. So 18 of the top 25 are from the Big Ten and the SEC. ACC had 4, Big 12 has 2, Notre Dame has an independent 1, and then all those group of 5s, none of them are according to Phil Steele, none of them are in the top 25. 0. So, and last year they occupied 2 playoff positions. That makes no sense in the world when you're.
I think they should get one. Well, give them one.
Yeah, well, okay.
Who cares? Like, just give them one. Or else, like you said, then you need 2 playoffs. Because, like, at that point, that if you're arguing that, like, truly the best teams need to be in the playoffs, then we're quite literally just looking at a Big Ten versus SEC conference and then everybody else. Which, if that's what you want to do, fine. That's what you want to do, fine. Then do it.
Yeah,
well, but that's the only logical way. If not, if we're all included in Division 1A football, then give one group of 5 a spot in the freaking playoffs.
Or expand the playoffs a little bit more. You know,
that's cool. Like 16?
Yeah. You look at the other divisions, like FCS, which used to be Division 1AA. They have 24 teams go to the playoffs. And I think they have less schools than Division 1A now. So, you know, they have 24 go to the playoffs. Division 2 has 24. Division 3 has 32. No, I think they even expanded. They might even have a few more than 32. So you can expand them. But then they start to get this, oh, well, now we're playing too many games. And, it conflicts with the bowl.
Cut the preseason bullshit. Well, I mean, have one preseason game then and expand the playoff.
You got to be able to accept the changing of the times and say all these bowl games that everybody used to be so charged up about going to, they don't mean shit anymore. They don't mean anything to a lot of people. A lot of times players aren't even playing them, you know, because they're worried about their professional career and
the coaches are already gone and quit and it's just a big joke.
It's just the system is changed. And I personally like the playoffs better anyway, because I think it's way more exciting. You know, there's emotion tied into it until the very end when you finally get beat and you're done. And that's the way it ought to be, you know? So
I had thought I had seen that they were planning on expanding. Is it just to 16 or I thought it was more than that?
I don't think you get, like, if you read up on it, I think there's always just different opinions and then nobody really tells you like, where is it really driving towards? My personal opinion would be, I like it when you go with even numbers. So like 16, at least every team has to play every week. But when you start going with like 24 and different numbers like that, then people get buys. And I think that just changes things. Although when you look at like what happened this past year, the teams that got buys, they lost, right?
They lost.
Yeah.
They got iced.
Yeah. So maybe I'm wrong in that. And maybe the buys are okay. If a team wants to go on a buy and ice themselves out, then that can happen, you know? Because I think there is something, though, to be playing every week and stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah. I agree with it. If you finish top 4, you deserve a bye. But then again, it didn't help them out any, so except for Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah, they took advantage of it. So the top 25, so I looked it up last year. And in the final top 25, there were 12 teams in there that weren't in there at the beginning of the year. So, and then when I looked at I found a top 25. I might have missed one because I found 11 teams that were ranked that dropped out. Last year, Penn State started out the year preseason number 2, and they did not finish in the top 25. Clemson was ranked 4, and they didn't finish in the top 25. LSU was 9. Arizona State 11, Illinois 12, South Carolina 13. See, South Carolina was a victim of, I don't think they were like a super bad team, but they're playing the SEC. And they're just, they lost games, I mean, it's like, yeah, they could be 13, but going to play that conference, different deal. But so then at the end of the year, let's see. So South Carolina drops out because they get beat around in their conference, but then James Madison ends up 19 at the end of the year. Tulane ends up 18. Wrong. Then they go into their playoff games and get destroyed, Navy at 23.
Hey,
really?
You know what they did? Okay, but getting back to the playoff thing, you know how like if you're playing hockey and you keep winning and, D lower, then you get moved up to D upper? and you might get the shit kicked out of you. But like, again, this is my opinion on letting one group of 5 team into the playoffs. Like, if you're winning in your area, just let one of them play and get the shit kicked out of them. But like, still, like, that's just how it goes.
It is how it goes.
Let them in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's going to happen because the way they're all writing the rules of the playoffs. I mean, I think the conference champs get in and they're having at-large, but then if you got to let in the group of 6 team if they're ranked, blah, 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 or whatever. And then, of course, Notre Dame gets in if they're in the top 12. So
they're fine. They didn't get in last year, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, they didn't get in last year.
Were they like 13 or 14 last year?
Overrated.
Yeah, they were right there. So every year there's going to be a debate about Notre Dame. Every year. That's just where they position themselves. And so that's why they're never going to join a conference, which just pisses me off. They should join
but also, like, is it good to be debated every single year? Should we let them in or not? It is.
That's why it makes me so mad. They've got this special.
I mean, but if they join the conference, arguably they might have a better chance of just automatically making it in. I mean, if you're so good, if you enter the Big Ten and start winning the Big Ten, then you get in anyway. So why even open yourself up? Why open yourself up for debate?
Because Big Ten's tough. They're not going to get in there and win every year, and they know it.
No.
Why don't you just
even the ACC? They might not win.
You don't
think
they'll win in
the
ACC?
They would be good.
I think they could, but I guarantee you if they officially join the ACC for football, people would be like, you wimps. Man, you need to join the Big Ten.
They'll start looking down on them like, ACC, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
But if they win the ACC, then they'll automatically get into the playoffs. You don't have to open yourself up for debate.
That's true.
Yeah.
But they want to act like they're one of the tough big dogs and not play the big dogs schedule every weekend.
Our comments. We're going to get another slew of comments.
I hope some Notre Dame fans
like the Texas Tech fans.
I hope they do. I think it's a great argument.
Notre Dame fans are loud.
Well, because, again, like if you're in the SEC or the Big Ten, the bottom teams of those conferences are tougher than so many teams in all these other conferences. And Notre Dame's schedule, look at it from year to year. I mean, a lot of times they play Purdue. Okay.
Let's look at
How many times is Purdue really good in the Big Ten? Rarely. They'd play Michigan State. Michigan State goes up and down. That was normally a game for them. They play USC a lot. USC was going up and down. They'd play Stanford. They'd play the academies. They play Navy and they play Air Force. Well, these aren't the best teams, and that schedule can't even compare to a Big Ten or an SEC schedule. No way.
Yeah, they've got like a few tough teams in here, but then they have Rice, Stanford, Navy, Boston College. Like, come on.
Yeah.
They're padding it up.
Yeah.
But like, is that comparable to an ACC schedule?
Probably. Yeah,
so just join the ACC, problem solved, and then you get in the playoffs every year.
But they don't want to be. They want to have that argument that we're
above the ACC.
Yes, except in every other sport that we join the ACC.
We are above
every other sport.
We are above the ACC, but we might not make the playoffs because of our long-standing belief that we are above the ACC because that's what happened last year.
Yeah. In football, I don't. They'll just be in the ACC for other sports. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right, so
weird.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this top 138. So Oklahoma State, Drew, this guy ranked him at 64, which that's a step up, and I did see
better than last year where we were probably 137.
Oh,
it could be, yeah.
It was not that bad.
I saw today. I just saw Drew Messamaker.
I forgot how bad it was.
Oh, they were terrible.
We might have been 138, actually.
Who was the one game? Who was the one game?
Who was the one game last year? It was like our first one. It was our first one against who was it? I'm gonna look it up.
Wasn't it South Dakota State? Or was that the year before?
That was the year before. No, we barely beat this team that we should have crushed. And that was our only win.
Yeah, so I saw an interview with Drew Mestemaker today, and teams they brought a lot of guys from North Texas. They've got 65 transfers coming in.
All right, you want to hear who it was?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was UT Martin. And then the very next week we played Oregon and lost 69-3.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, or at least Oregon's good, but that's a very high scoring game.
Yes, but it was atrocious.
But that's the thing is, and
we'll play them again this year.
Oklahoma State went from being a 10-win team to getting crushed, just absolutely crushed. I mean, that's the turnaround was unbelievable. And
if
I love Mike Gundy. I love Mike Gundy, man. I hated to see him go out like that, but what do you do?
I also love Mike Gundy, but if you ask people, even Oklahoma State fans, they will say that they don't think that the NIL money was being spent and distributed well, and that's what they think is potentially the reason why their team went downhill. So again, NIL is ruling what's going on in the college football landscape right now.
Absolutely, it is. So, what other teams are we looking at? We got our friends in Iowa. You got Iowa's in the top 25 preseason. They always have a tough defense. Their big deal there is they like to run the ball, and you never know what the quarterback play is going to be. I like their offensive coordinator. I watched the podcast he was on. He is really fun to listen to. And
what podcast? Shout it out.
It was a podcast called ANF Football or something like that, and they had an interview with him. He spent over an hour with him. It was pretty interesting. He was talking a lot of really precise football stuff that was fun to listen to. Iowa State's taken a big drop. Last year they started out the year in the top 25. They didn't finish there. Then Campbell leaves. They lose 50 of their players or more, 60 of their players, and they're ranked 100 going into this season. So could be a tough year in Ames. So that coach, though, he's got nowhere to go but up, and I think people will recognize that. Hopefully he'll give him a runway to get it figured out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we still didn't even talk about Paul Skeens getting fat. So we've lost our opportunity to ever talk about it.
Yeah, well.
It's going to be old news 3 weeks from now whenever we film another one, so
probably.
Whatever.
Oh, so we should mention that. So we're excited to get football season started. We're going to do our pick'ems. The first pick'em week is September 5th. Then we're probably going to take a 2-week break before we publish another episode because we've got some trips planned and different things that'll make it very difficult for us to get together and record. So the next time we get together may be the week of September 7th. So we're going to have a 2-week hiatus next week and the week after. The week of September 7th, we'll at least be able to check our picks from the first pick'em and then continue talking about whatever comes up in college football, which is going to be fun to talk about from there on out. We'll see how our pick'em games change from week to week, just like Nicole mentioned, and catch it from there. Okay. Well, you've been listening to Butterball. This is a podcast of 3 family members. We're talking ball. We're having a ball. Thanks for listening, and make sure you subscribe to us.
Yes, and make sure you follow us on Instagram at Butterball Podcast. We'll post clips on there at Butterball Podcast.
And you can listen to us on Spotify. Just search Butterball.